And welcome back, everybody, to another 3D Hangouts. It is Wednesday. Welcome, everybody, to the show. I'm Noe, designer here at Adafruit, and joining me every week is Pedro.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Pedro Ruiz, creative tech here at Adafruit, and every week we come to share 3D printed projects featuring electronics from Adafruit.
That's right. This is the show we combine 3D printing and DIY electronics to make inspirational projects. Welcome, everybody, to the show. Let's go ahead and start off with this week's coupon code, which is Joycade. So we have a very special project that's going to be released after the show that has to do with arcades. Yeah, so if you want to pick up anything from the Adafruit shop, you can do so. Make sure you use the coupon code JOYCADE to get 10% off your complete order.
That's right.
Yep.
Works on everything but software and subscriptions.
That's right. We also got some deals with the UPS ground shipping service. If you order $200 or more, you can get free UPS ground for US continental stuff. So make sure to check out adafruit.com/free to check out all the deals that is currently happening. Okay, we've got some other things to talk about real quick. We do same-day delivery for some special zip codes in the NYC area. So if you can get your order in before 11 a.m. and you want to get your stuff the same day, you can actually do that if you're in the right zip codes. We also have newsletters, Adafruit Daily. Go to adafruitdaily.com and check out all the newsletters that are out there. It's a daily dose of Adafruit content. For more news-specific stuff, we have Adafruit's new newsletter, which talks more about products. So it's product-focused. So you can check that one out. I think it's weekly. Yeah. Cool. We have the Discord chat happening right now, so if you want to chat with us after the show, we don't have to go away. We're there all the time. Quite a few people are there. We're up to 50 people now. 5 Adafruit folks are there, and welcome everybody in the Discord chat room. If you want to check that out, just go to adafruit.it/Discord. We'll have a link for you in the chat room if you want to join us there.
I want to take a peek at it.
Yeah,
just because it's like the pulse of Adafruit. You can see everything that's being released, all the GitHub repositories that get posted, all the broadcasting stuff.
Yeah.
Bunch of general chat going on there.
So this
Scott
is general
is
chat.
always in there.
Chats, yep. We have a 3D printing specific one. If anybody has any 3D printing stuff they want to share with us, check that out.
It's actually going to be the best place to share any projects you guys want us to
please
talk
do.
about.
If you want to share even somebody else's project that you want us to take a look at, please do so. It'll help me out quite a bit. And of course, shout out to Raider. Who's out there in the chat room and always keeping an eye on things. I really appreciate you doing that.
I wanted to check out even cool things like Off Topic, and my favorite section is the dog and cat pictures.
Yes, this is a new addition, I believe. So if you want to check out some lovely Cats of Engineering, smelling some NeoPixels there. We like cats.
Is that one smoking?
No, it's chilling out. Cats don't smoke.
I'll definitely check out Discord or Ada.it. Adafruit.it/Discord. I posted it in the chat room.
Correct. We also got dog pictures. So, Kirby, where's your dogs here, man? Where's your dogs?
Check it out. Come hang out live.
These dogs.
You could take a look at some of the behind-the-scenes stuff going on.
Yeah,
at Adafruit.
And off-topic stuff as well, if you want to know. GitHub stuff. So all the GitHub polls. This is really the pulse of Adafruit, as Pedro was saying.
Yeah. Definitely my favorite part there.
The YouTube stuff.
All the libraries being pushed out, updated.
Yeah. Are we live? Yes, we're live. I'm like, why isn't the thing showing up?
I posted it.
I believe we're live. And new products as well as here. Even SoundCloud, that was a new addition too. So whenever I upload something to SoundCloud, it'll show up. I still have some stuff to do there. Cool.
If you guys have any recommendations for any webhooks, any RSS feeds that we should pull in,
let us know.
Let us know.
Yeah. All right, well, back to the show, if I can remember what we're doing.
This week's project, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Very
This week's project is, I literally just published it a couple of minutes ago.
That's actually why we had to do the show a little bit later.
Yeah,
it wasn't internet problems.
There was internet problems, and it wasn't really finished either.
Yeah.
So I had to wrap it up this morning, but hopefully it's all nice and legible for everybody to check out. So this week's project is an arcade controller with sort of the hero product being the Adafruit arcade Bonnet, which is an add-on for the Raspberry Pi. So this is the project here. Let me switch over cameras. Is it this one? Yeah, this one. So this is what I came up with. This is this week's project. It is a 3D printed enclosure that has a Raspberry Pi 3 inside of it, and on top of the Raspberry Pi is the arcade Bonnet. Really, this project kind of came out of the kind of evolution of all the other projects that I've recently been doing with these arcade buttons. A couple weeks ago, we did our scene switcher here using the CircuitPython and the M0 Express. So I had a bunch of these buttons laying around, and I had this joystick, which is a little mini analog joystick, which has two potentiometers that make it work. And I figured I'd slap them all together. I modeled this in 3D in Fusion, and I figured I'd create an enclosure for it. So we'll take a look at the project. Oh, also it is dual extruded. So there are some nice little graphics here that are dual extruded on the Ultimaker 3 and the Sigma BCN 3D. So in the front here, you can see some nice little graphics there. I think I have a little skull here in the side, and just kind of stress testing out the dual extruder capabilities of our two printers here. And this is kind of like the play and pause button icon things here. So I had a lot of fun doing that, and I have the Fusion 360 files already up and available for folks can download, so you can check those out, please do. And let's go back over to the web so you can take a look at the guide. So the first page kind of talks about the project. There are some prerequisite guides, so I definitely recommend checking out the Arcade Bonnet guide, which will walk you through the software and any extra odds and ends that the Arcade Bonnet rather can do. Just a couple parts you need. Really, this one's focusing on those 24mm arcade buttons, the mini analog joystick, a Pi 3, and the Arcade Bonnet. There's also some extra things like screws and standoffs, quick connect wires, and some tools as well that I like to use when doing the project. The next page talks about the circuit diagram. So really this one just kind of illustrates how to wire the analog joystick. So it doesn't have to be, if you want to do a remix project and you don't want to use the enclosure, you can still use this circuit to get an idea of how to wire joysticks, analog joysticks specifically, to our arcade Bonnet here. So I think over, let's just search here for analog joystick. As you can see, we have quite a few different analog 2-axis joysticks. So we have some breakouts, more of like the Xbox style or the PSP style. So we have a couple of those. They get even smaller with the PSP 3000, but they're all basically about the same, where they have two potentiometers on the side. So walk you through how to wire those. For this project, to make the wiring a little bit easier, I am sharing the power and ground between the two potentiometers. So you have 3. Or is it 4 wired connections to make? So it's 3 volts, ground, X, and the Y axis. So you can see those here in the analog section here, where there's the analog thing. So that's where the joystick, or any analog joystick, will go. If you're using a 4-way kind of clicky joystick, you're going to use the up, down, up, left, right, up, down, and ground pins. So those are there. Yeah. So that's the circuit diagram, pretty straightforward. Now, the Joy Bonnet has these things called Quick Connect JST plugs.
So handy.
Super handy. That makes it a lot easier to connect buttons. As you can see in the kind of hero shot, you can see all these buttons are plugged in there. But, however, if you want more than 6 buttons, let's say you want start and pause, you are going to have to manually solder into the available pins. There are a couple of extra pins that you can wire them into, so that's what I'm doing for the pause and the play, the start and select buttons for the arcade. So check those out. I was saying the software is pretty much a mirrored copy of this page here, so you do need access to Wi-Fi, your Raspberry Pi. Get your Raspberry Pi on Wi-Fi, install the latest, burn the latest RetroPie image distribution onto your SD card, and then install the the Arcade Bonnet scripts on top of that installation, so you have to run that. Pretty straightforward and easy. If you want to manually change or just take a look at the key assignments for each of the controls, you can do so by editing the PY file, the PY file, the Arcade Bonnet PY file, which has a listing of all the keys and what characters they're outputting, so you can change those. There is also an audio amplifier built into the Arcade Bonnet, so if you don't want to use HDMI audio out or the onboard headphone jack on your Raspberry Pi, you can also embed a speaker into your project if you want to do that. You just have to run this extra script, which is really straightforward and illustrated here for you. Okay, next page is talking about the 3D printing part. So there are a total of 6 panels. There's a top, a bottom, side panels, and the front and back panels. And this is really sort of a departure from normal enclosures that I usually design. This one is more of the kind of laser cut acrylic style enclosure where you have these little tabs and these little slots, and they mate together to form a little box. So that's a bit of a different thing, but it's kind of neat that you can also laser cut the project if you wanted to. However, you do have to maybe export the SVGs or DSX files out of the Fusion 360 archive, which I haven't done so, but if you guys want me to do that, I can go that extra mile and do that for you guys. But I see more people with 3D printers than laser cutters, so I'm guessing they were going to 3D print it. So the dual extrusion part of it, again, it was done with an Ultimaker 3 and the Sigma BCN 3D printer, but there's lots of different dual extruder machines out there. Even some things like the Palette Plus from Mosaic Manufacturer should be able to do that as well. So there's so many different variations of it that I don't have really specific settings on how to do so, as each printer manufacturer is going to have their own kind of profile set up or their own slicer for doing the dual extrusion stuff. But basically they're separate elements, and you bring them in and then you merge them and then you assign what part you want to be what color, what material. So that's how that's working. All the STLs are available to download, as is the Fusion 360 archive if you want to get in there. Even maybe repurpose some of the components like the joystick or the Arcade Bonnet or the Raspberry Pi 3. All that stuff is in there as well. Okay, moving on to the first part of the build. After the software is set up and after the 3D printed parts are printed, you're going to work on wiring up the joystick to the Arcade Bonnet. So the first thing you got to do is make some wires. So I walk you through how to make the wires, how long they need to be, how to wire up the potentiometers, how to share the ground and voltage, and ultimately connecting it to the Arcade Bonnet. Again, on the Arcade Bonnet, I am wiring it into the analog section pin, so it's X, Y, 3 volts, and of course ground. I do recommend kind of using different colored wires to distinguish between the connections, because for me, I used
you will
green.
Get lost after.
I got lost. I added all the heat shrink tubing, and then I had to map out the wires and figure out. I ended up using.
I like the heat shrink tubing to organize all the the wires.
Yeah,
bundle,
as you'll see, as you'll see, a rat nest is inevitable. But that's how most things are. What was I going to say? Something about the... Yeah, I ended up using a multimeter to figure out which axis was wired to which pin, because I was like, they're both green, which is where?
I hate that.
Yeah, it happens. But hopefully you read the note in there about it, and you kind of think about it before I did.
This is when you start looking at all the colored wires that we have, and you start wondering, can we get more?
Can I get more colors? Let me get some purples and some cyans. Yeah.
Some yellows.
Yeah, because blue, because those 3 colors, you need more than 3. All right, so after that, you probably want to solder the female header onto the Arcade Bonnet. It does come with it. It's a 2x20 female header. It does come with it. You do have to solder it on there. So if you haven't soldered anything yet, you have 40 pins to solder, and it's going to get you some nice experience soldering or soldering if you're, if you like to say it that way. It's pretty straightforward. My tip for soldering headers is to use some mounting tack to temporarily hold the header in place while you solder, and of course using some like a pana vise or some sort of vise grip to hold your board in place while you solder is very helpful. So recommend doing that. Once you're done, make sure you remove the mounting tack, and you can reuse it for another project. So I have that linked as well in the overview page if you want to pick up some mounting tack from Amazon. After we've soldered our headers, it's time to wire up our buttons. Again, for getting more than 6 buttons, you will need to manually wire them to some available pinouts. So I'm basically reusing some spare quick connect cables and just chop off the joystick connector and then tin it, and then we'll strip the wires and then tin it and then get them into the various pins. So I reuse the left and the right pins for the 4-way joysticks because I found it easier. And then you have up to 6 different ground pins that you can use. So there's 3 on either side, on the left and the right side of the joy bonnet. So you got plenty of ground connections. But once you're done, it'll look something like that. You'll have your joystick and your quick connects wired up into the joy bonnet. Onto the next page is the last page, which is really the assembly. So it's one of those projects where you have to kind of build the enclosure to finalize the wiring. So it's one of those type of projects. So yeah, let me talk a little bit about these standoffs. These are brass metal standoffs. They're M3 size and they're 55 millimeters tall. So they're pretty lengthy standoffs, and yeah, they're pretty cool. I like using them, especially for like a laser cut design. I think really tall standoffs work well here. So there are a total of 6 standoffs that you'll need for this enclosure, and 6 M3 screws that accompany those. So getting them into the bottom cover is probably a good idea first. So you just kind of insert a screw and then twist on the standoffs until you have them all fully fastened and tightened. We do have some standoffs, some M25 threaded kind of nylon standoff screws hex nut set. So I'm using that a lot lately in all of the projects, and basically you need to use the tallest screws and the shortest standoffs to get your pie mounted onto the bottom cover. So I have those listed out there, and you just kind of thread the standoff through the screw and then lay the PCB, the Raspberry Pi, over those threads, and then use a hex nut, 4 hex nuts to fasten to secure the Raspberry Pi to those standoffs. But once that's done, then you can go ahead and install the side panels. It's pretty straightforward. The tabs just go into the accompanying slots on the bottom cover. You might run into a little bit of a tolerances issues, because I know I did. I had to use a filing tool to kind of sand down a little bit of the material on those tabs. So I recommend sanding down the tabs and not the slots. It's just a little bit easier to get your file tool in there. But once you get those side panels installed, then we can start working on connecting all of the arcade button quick connect wires to the joystick connectors on the arcade bonnet. Once that's done, we can go ahead and install the buttons. You just kind of press them through the holes, the cutout holes, and then just fasten them together with the little mounting caps, so they're all panel mounted. Then once that's done, you can work on installing the joystick, mounting it to the front cover, or not the front cover, but the top cover. There are, it comes with some hardware and like a mounting cap, mounting cover, whatever you want to call it. That is, so the arcade stick kind of goes through the bottom. Line up the holes. Make sure that the rubber gasket has these notches. So you got to make sure that your screws aren't going to go through the rubber gasket. So they have these little notches on the sides. Make sure everything is lined up and oriented before you drive your screw through the top cover there. But once that's secured, you can go ahead and connect the quick connects to all of the individual buttons. Right there, then once that's done, you can connect the front panel buttons. So that's the start and select buttons. Those are pretty straightforward. Then the last part is installing the arcade button onto the Raspberry Pi. It's very easy. You just make sure that all of the pins are being seated fully and they're in their correct orientations. So just follow the photo for reference. And right before we close it up is a good opportunity to kind of wire management. So you want to make sure that you can close the enclosure. So you might have to kind of fold or gently mold the wires until you can actually close the thing up. At this point, if you have patience and you have time, I recommend trimming down, resizing the cables. They don't need to be so long, but then again, it is easier to kind of open the cover up, because you have the longer the wire, the more distance you can have between your cover and the enclosure. But either way, once you are double checked all your work and make sure everything is wired in, you can close it up. You just need 6 screws that go into the top that go through the top cover and into those 6 standoffs. And that's pretty much it. That's the full assembly of the case. So do you guys have any questions about any of the things I talked about? Let me know. And if you guys have any ideas for future projects, I think one of the things that I'd like to do kind of off camera would be to kind of wire the LEDs, because these buttons do have built-in LEDs, built-in resistors. I really wanted to get these things lit up, but
ran out of time for that.
Ran out of time, as it is a little bit of a time process to wire it up and document it. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, there's also other factors going on, like trying to get dual extrusion parts to extra print,
just keep
printers going down, fixing stuff.
So this is cool. I made 2 different versions of it. One specifically a much larger to kind of take full advantage of the massive build volume on the Sigma BCN 3D, the guy over there. And this one is specifically designed for the Ultimaker 3, so it's a little bit less than 200 millimeters wide.
Yeah. Actually, this is a really good example to visually see bed size. So let's go full. This is the BCN Sigma. It's a little bit more like a rectangle.
Yeah, it's basically like an 8x11 piece of paper.
And the Ultimaker 3 is a little bit more like a square almost in terms of the printing area. But you can see that extra bit that you're able to get out of the Sigma. Yeah,
and it becomes really important when you want ergonomics. So what I found is as I'm playing this one, your palms really can't rest on it. So you're kind of doing one of these things where the corner here is kind of interfacing with your palm there, which isn't really that comfortable.
This one a lot more comfortable because you have that extra area to rest your palms
You're basically, the best arcade is a giant table, so that's the best ergonomically.
Exactly, yeah.
This looks very good. This was fun too. A little bit different to design approach here where we mix the colors and stuff, but kind of the same principles. And this is cool because I didn't do the side panels. I kind of ran out of time. But you can see right through it. Great ventilation. You can get so much air in there and quickly
with the standoffs
quickly diagnose anything if some wiring is messed up or something. So nice.
Easy to get to. If you want to rearrange the buttons or switch those out, or even add the LEDs to that, you can still do that with the open design. You can do that too. Just take off the panels, side panels there too.
Yeah, you don't need the panels.
So somebody was asking if you're able to use product 480, the smaller or the arcade joystick for connecting it to the Joy Bonnet.
480?
480, yeah.
Let's check it out.
I think we do have one of these somewhere.
Yeah, I used this in last week's project. Yeah, this is totally, let's take a look at it here on the website. So yeah, this is the small arcade joystick. It's the clicky switch style. This is totally supported on the arcade Bonnet. You have to manually wire the connections. But yeah, I used it in one of our other projects that I showed last week. Yeah, I didn't want to go with this route because I really wanted to try out the 2-axis analog joystick. I wanted to kind of model that in Fusion and have a component so that folks can reuse it, because I noticed we are actually out of stock on that mini arcade joystick here. We're out of stock, but it's a little bit more expensive. It's like $5 more, I believe. Yeah, $5 more, but we are out of stock on that. So hopefully, if you guys want to pick this up, or if you already have it and you're looking for a project to do with it, I definitely recommend making a RetroPie controller. Yeah.
John is also asking, totally how did we get this finished? So this is just printing directly on the glass build plate.
Correct. Yeah. Let me go to this guy. Yeah. So this is very, very shiny and glossy. This is just the sort of surface finish you get when you use a glass heated bed. So both the Sigma and the Ultimakers they feature a glass bed, heated glass bed to about 65C, I mean, even up to 70C.
I think I use 70 on the Sigma.
Yeah, highly recommend using a brim or a heat shield. The Ultimaker 3s, they just released kind of a heat shield that it's a transparent acrylic cover that keeps the heat trapped into the build chamber. So that's really, really nice. But let's actually talk about some of the ugly parts of dual extruding. If you guys want to take a look at that, let's take a look at the overhead here and see that some of the details you get cross contamination. That's where a little bit of material oozes from the two nozzles. Even though the Ultimaker retracts its nozzle, it can still. Some of the tool paths can get a little bit kind of messy.
We have asked them about this. And some of their suggestions were to turn on combing, I believe was the...
Yeah, so under the shell, option, there is something called no skin. So I actually have no skin applied to all of these parts, but you still get a little bit of material that kind of makes its way into the other materials. So it's probably less visible here on the Sigma because this is actually sliced with Simplify 3D, and the way they approach their tool paths is a little bit more optimized, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So you get that.
It's got a little bit of contamination there from the traction move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So looking at the Ultimaker one, you can see that the top is almost flawless, exception of this little line here. So this little line there.
Always with the first layer too.
Yeah, even with no skin, you still get that part right there. So what I'll show you guys now is actually a couple of different test prints that really showcase the design and how that influences the toolpath, right? So for example, let's take a look at this one. This one was actually a little bit different. You'll notice that there's a little triangle here, and there is no contamination. Now, I'm not quite sure why this one worked so much better than this one, when all that's different is that the triangle is a circle. So I don't know what's going on there. It's pretty much the same settings. So it really is dependent on your shapes and your toolpath geometry. Whatever's going on there, this one just would work better than that one. But that's really the only differences I made. Do I have the... As you can see here, here's another one where the design slightly changed. As you can see, there's no circle around here. There's a little bit of cross-contamination there and there as well. So it's kind of hard to see visually in your slicer if it's going to happen or not, because you really don't get a good idea in Cura on how it's going to work. Here's another panel where I had some bad cross-contamination here. This is not bad, it's just one line, but it really looks like it's like getting hair in your soup. You want a good tasty soup, you find hair in it and you're just But the back here is kind of nice. It's pretty rough because it's the top area and this is the glass bed area, nice and shiny. Yeah, but I think something on PEI would probably work a lot better. So if you got a if you have a Lulzbot with your PEI sheets, I think you'll have a much better kind of surface finish. But that's pretty much a quick look at some of the things to look out for when dual extruding stuff like that. The Sigma did a pretty good job. This is actually printed with a 0.6 nozzle. Is that correct?
Yeah, so if you're a frequent watcher of the show, you know that we're big fans of using larger nozzles to speed up time, especially when you have such a large project.
This took 4 hours to print. That took only 2 hours to print,
yeah,
and so it's 2 times bigger.
Yeah, so whatever the settings are. And the funny thing is, too, that for the Ultimaker settings, I think it was printing at 70 millimeters a second. I'm only printing this at 50 millimeters a second.
Yeah,
so whatever the outer and inner speeds are for the infill and all that.
Now, this one, the Ultimakers do cool down after every tool change. Yeah. So you're looking at some time like that, which is something that you kind of need to do that. There are probably some things you could do, like using an ooze shield or a prime tower to eliminate any of this cross-contamination stuff. But
the only reason I don't like the prime towers though is because it's such a waste when you're done with your part. You have this chunk of just waste material you have to throw away. Which is
and if it falls off, your perm is kind of messed. You kind of fail there if your thing messes up.
Big fan of not using the prime towers. But I like the little waste buckets on the Sigma too. It's able to deposit just a little bit of that waste material. Yeah, to purge it out, move the head over back to the part, and continue printing.
Correct. Yeah. So let's take a look at some of the CAD stuff and showcase some of the components that are accessible if you guys want to reuse them in any of your 3D projects. So let's take a look at that now. Hopefully Fusion hasn't died on me. I think we're good here. There we go. All right, so in Fusion, when I put this together, I really wasn't sure what I was going to do, what it was going to be. So the timeline is a little bit all over the place. I tried to rework it, but I ran out of time, like I was saying. I figured I would just leave it as is, and for the most part, everything is parametric, so you can come in here and modify anything that you need to. One of the things that didn't make it into the project is this side panel with the Raspberry Pi logo and the Adafruit logo, which I thought was really cool. Though I did test print it twice, and they came out really bad. I wish I could just show it to you. I think I threw them out, but they came out really bad. they're cross-contaminated all over the place. So I don't think the toolpath was resolved properly in Cura. However, it's definitely worth testing this again in Simplify 3D and the Sigma. But there are some pretty fine details going on here on this panel, so that's why I didn't end up making it. But everything else seemed to be okay. I really liked that little Pac-Man and the ghost thing. It worked out really nice. So let's take a look at some of the inner workings beyond the case. Here's the arcade joystick, the analog joystick. I have pretty much all the right things. This didn't come with a tech drawing, so they're not like to the T, but they are pretty precise, and the mounting holes seem to work out. So you can project the sketches for these mounting holes and make yourself a panel mounted thing if you do plan to laser cut or 3D print an enclosure with that. I also modeled the standoffs. I actually 3D printed the standoffs first while I placed an order for these brass standoffs and ordered them on Amazon. But I did print them out first, and they seem to work fine. You just have to print them flat, not tall ways, but like long ways horizontally. And that seemed to work okay. I didn't add any threads to them because I really didn't need them.
Yeah, Kirby was saying that he goes on to the Mastercard plugin inside of Fusion 360 to print out all of his standoffs.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
This works really well as well.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how tall they needed to be, so that's why I made them parametric. So it ended up being just a little bit about 55 millimeters. So you can see here, there's a little bit of distance from the bottom of the joystick body, and it's right on top of that arcade bonnet. So there's literally 4.8 millimeters of distance between them, which is just enough. So I guess if you wanted to make a little bit of a smaller standoff, go for it. But you know, the more distance you have, the better. And of course, the standoffs for the Pi are down here in the bottom. But that's pretty much it for the design. Really, what I wanted to do was to make a template, a parametric template, to reuse or really take a look at and kind of see how I made the feather box. I wanted to do the same approach, but for sort of a laser cut box where it uses these panels and these kind of tabs. So what I did was I put together a little template, and I have a couple of user parameters that it's being driven from. So not just like you know, you can do the height, for example, make it higher or longer as you want. So you want it a little bit longer. You can see the panels here are updating with it. So each one of these little panels have these little tabs. The tabs themselves should have a little bit of clearance so that the tabs can fit into these slots. So the slots have a little bit of a gap. So if you wanted to have more gap, you can add that. Did that work? Oh, I'm not sure if it worked. I'll have to keep reworking this, but this is what I plan to do for layer by layer. Yeah, I don't think it's working. Oh, tab gap, here it is. 0.5, so you can see there's a bigger, I'll have to revisit it, but the idea is that you can adjust the tab here, the tab gap, and get a smaller, tighter, yeah, there you go, it's working on that side, because it didn't get applied to the rest of it. Yeah, and then probably want to do something where there's a parametric width for the tabs, so you can make them longer or wider, because as the case grows, you want to have a bigger finger. Case in point, this guy over here, these tabs look a little bit too small. But everything's driven with mirrors and sketch planes and projections, so hopefully it works out to be a nice parametric template. That one broke there. Maybe too small.
Too small, yeah. You do need to have like a stopper. You can't print everything too small with having those little little connector pieces in there. Correct.
So that's really it. I'll revisit this and hopefully get some sort of layer by layer out of this, so it's a reusable template. So that's the CAD stuff real quick. If you guys have any questions about it, let me know. And you can download this Fusion file right now and take a look at it.
Yeah, somebody was asking, Craig's asking, did you consider a two-piece laser cut plastic with the top being clear and the bottom piece being a two-color layer, where the top color being etched away is exposed, exposes the two different colors underneath?
Yeah, actually, I got some of the two-tone acrylic from Instructables. So they actually have some black on white stuff, and I actually used that for one of the Circuit Playground yo-yo projects I did. That was a lot of fun. So you can like kind of diffuse. You can kind of
shine light through
shine light through the white area And yeah, I didn't get around to it because the CNC machine I have is actually really, really small, so I can't make anything bigger than, I think, 4x4. So I wasn't able to do that. But yeah, I've experimented a little bit with the two-tone acrylic. It's a great way to get two colors easily. You just kind of mill away the first couple of millimeters. Yeah, it's cool. I think this could also be done with hydro dipping. If you had these panels, you could probably hydro dip them. Or just really, really easy, add stickers. Just add some vinyl stickers to the panels. I think that's definitely doable as well. But really, it was a stress test to see how well I can get this stuff on the Ultimaker 3 and the Sigma BCN 3D. Okay, let's go back over here. And that's pretty much this week's project. Race to the finish line. I'm going to release the project video right after we're done with the show so that folks can see it. I put a lot of time into editing it and getting all the shots nice so that you can see exactly what I'm doing for building and wiring everything. But yeah, that'll be out very soon. Yeah, Fusion 360 is indeed a free piece of software. You do have to sign up. It's free to sign up. And then you just... You pick the hobby license, which is a 1-year subscription, free. You get all access to all the simulators, all the CAD environments.
And then you just renew after a year. It's a little bit confusing after that year is up.
Say that again.
So after a year, you just resubscribe for free. That's a little bit confusing with the same account.
People have already done it.
A lot of people have you know, complained like, oh, I thought this was free after the year is up, but no, it continues to be free.
Correct.
You just I guess.
And if you're a startup company, they actually are very flexible with startup companies. So if your startup company makes less than $100,000 a year in profit, you can use it for commercial work, which is kind of awesome. Autodesk is really...
I'm not sure how they actually check to make sure that you're making under $100,000 for your company.
I'm not questioning it. Pedro is. So yeah, it's free piece of software. There's lots of great tutorials on it. And for me, it was a very, very easy interface to learn. There's also a lot of nifty things you can do. If you know Python, you can write some scripts and stuff.
Yeah.
So they have an API.
And they're doing a lot of cool stuff, which I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it or not, but you'll be able to find out. I think they posted a couple of things.
Yeah, they had a webinar. It's public. They had a webinar with EagleCAD. They've been working on some really great stuff for seamless CAM.
I know that's like a curse word over to people like Scott over there.
What's a curse word?
Eagle.
Hey.
But they're doing a lot of really cool work that'll make at least redrawing, not having to redraw some of Lamar's components all over again. If you're using 360, just able to import those. They're adding the Adafruit library to that. So.
This is a great question. Can we connect like a second player?
I think that's been asked before, and I think the answer is yes. I want to say. I think
limited though, because you have access to. Well, you can't. I think the Joy Bonnet's it's more for just a single player. If you wanted a second one, you might have to get a different type of controller, maybe a USB controller or something. I think if you want to do that, you might use an arcade bonnet and one of these guys here. Pimoroni makes a really cool one, which I was been meaning to use, which is called the Pi Hat, or even better, or probably not the Pi Hat, probably the Picade controller. So you can use, because this one, does this one support two players? I don't think so. I don't think any of them support 2 players. Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, but you could use this one, because basically this just acts as a USB controller. So you can plug it into your Pi, your computer, your laptop, whatever you want. So you just wire these into these little screw terminals. So it's not the quick disconnects, but it is a little bit easier because you don't have to solder anything. You can just route one of the wires into these little screw terminals. So this one's from Pimoroni. It's basically the Arduino, the Leonardo kind of chipset. So it's got the Atmega 32U4 on there, and the Arduino bootloader with some of the Pimoroni has some software to make it emulate the keyboard. So you could use this one plus our arcade bonnet. I wouldn't use this one because this one's it's specifically made to fit on top of your Raspberry Pi. You only have so many pinouts.
Take out over your GPIOs.
No, you can stack on stack. You can't stack. So There you go.
And Scott saying that it's not a curse word. KiCad is just better. But then Philip is saying, can it export G-code for CNC milling?
KiCad? I'm sure there's scripts to do that. And I'm sorry, but I didn't showcase what I was showing you. So if you wanted to have a second player, I recommend getting the Pimoroni Picade controller PCB. Yeah, that's what you would use for a second player, because right now there just aren't enough GPIO. Well, however, you could probably wire the buttons into these guys here. There are extra ones, so you can see here on where my mouse is. Hopefully you can see where my mouse is. Yeah, right there. You can see 17, 18, 22, 27, 23. All of these could potentially be used as extra buttons. So hopefully you can reuse these for a second player. So you just got to be a little bit strategic about which pins you're using. Yeah, but that's a great question, because it's something that these things aren't really designed for a second player. But I think it's definitely would be awesome to play Pedro at Mortal Kombat and kick his ass. So thank you for the question on that one. Any other cool questions like that?
We did have to use Mortal Kombat, especially for the arcade.
Installing MAME was
and
super
layout
easy
for this project. Yeah, because otherwise it just doesn't look good. You know, just playing Mario on there. You only need two
I'll get
buttons.
flamed by the gamer arcade community.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What are you doing? You don't play. You're supposed to play MAME. Which I haven't done yet. I haven't played any MAME. So playing Mortal Kombat really brought back some of the feels and nostalgia, going to our local laundromat and playing our Mortal Kombat like at 7 years old.
Was that what was it? At like sports like card little gaming shop too?
I remember that one. Yeah,
had like Mortal
comic
Kombat
books
3 and 4.
Yeah, those were the days when you went to a comic book shop and like you saw all the latest comics, all the latest toys, and all the latest.
Craig is asking about Eagle. Is owned by Autodesk, same as Fusion 360. So I would hope in the future they would find an easy way to import the board, the BRD file.
Yeah, so what they're working on is seamless integration from Eagle CAD to Fusion 360. So they are working on some heavy duty stuff to where all of the Adafruit library components will be standard. Even they're even working on SparkFun's library too. So not just the stock library, but Adafruit plus SparkFun. They just kept saying the word, like when I was listening to the webinar, like Adafruit and SparkFun.
It felt like an Adafruit commercial,
a little bit, because it's I guess these companies really are pushing out a bunch of components that people can reuse. So having that library capability is something I think is probably Eagle's biggest strong suit, and having that seamless integration into their CAD package is going to be really nice, because now I can, instead of having to redraw all of Lamar's designs in Fusion, which is what I do right now, I can click a button and get a 3D render with actual things. So one of the demos was designing a PCB in Eagle CAD, bringing it into the CAD, and then the designer gets to make an adjustment, like maybe adding a mounting holder there, and then having it sync back and forth. Yeah, so having it kind of this control where it's seamless back and forth of the designer gets to do a little bit of changes, and then the electrical engineer gets to finalize those changes and implement them and reroute it however they want.
That's a pretty big deal, because if you're thinking about like port layout, like if a design needs a circuit to be moved around, you can actually have that go upstream.
That's right.
To where the electrical engineer can be like, okay, let me just move some traces around to make sure that everything is optimal. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal in terms of having, especially since everything being on the quote unquote cloud is nice and shared. You have sort of a GitHub sort of what's it called? Not SVN, the subversioning of versions of files.
Yes, so they have that all built in and collaborative back and forth stuff, and the comments and all the sort of stuff that you've grown accustomed to.
So we might like other packages, but just having the resources, development team to be able to actually push something like this through is pretty substantial.
Yeah. While I was
also in the circuit I/O stuff too, right? Being able to simulate circuits inside that too. Everything is going to be integrated.
All that, So Autodesk takeover is happening. Everybody get worried and concerned. So one of the things I thought was interesting was one of the attendees at the webinar was an electrical engineer, and it was just interesting to see how in his kind of commercial use, he is constrained to the design. So whatever the designer does, the electrical engineer has to kind of take those constraints and rework their work and make it fit in that box. For me, it's completely opposite. It is, how do I fit my box to Lamar's design? So I was just kind of, I never had that where I thought the electrical engineer had the final say. Like, oh, you have the final say. In this other world, the commercial, it's like, no, the designer has the final say. It's like, what? That's crazy, man.
You got to look at ergonomics and design of how the,
most likely,
design is going to actually feel in your hand.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was a great webinar. I think they're going to do another one.
I think they have it as a...
they might, yeah.
It's a saved archive, so you can check it out.
Perhaps, yeah. I think they might still work on it. They had a little bit of connection problems, but...
That's why you don't use Adobe
Connect
for doing a webinar.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, let's go ahead and jump into this week's prototyping.
Do you have something?
We got 15 minutes in. Yeah, just wanted to show off some of the different materials that we got for next week's project, the Guardian Shield. So last week I showed it off with the all white. I think I have...
Yeah, so Pedro's working on a cosplay prop. It's shields from Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Fresh air.
So, yeah, fresh air.
And so last week I showed it off with the usual translucent material that we have.
Yeah.
There's also like a tinted blue one that we've gotten from time to time. You can kind of see the tinted there. It's a little bit blue, but then we found this other really nice, like vibrant blue.
I'll just up the saturation on the camera.
Yeah, so it looks like that. And almost finished on getting all the internal workings all ready to go. So I already got the LEDs in there, got the mount for the battery and the little gem that's going to go where the gem part is. And a lot of refinements in the back too for the way that the handle is mounted and holds onto everything. So it's coming along really good. This should be ready for next week.
Some real Shiite
more detailed
technology
stuff in there. Yeah. And
Shika. Sorry. Is it wrong?
Shika. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Is it Shika or Shiike? Shika.
Shika, yeah.
Shika.
And it does a pretty good job illuminating the LEDs do at illuminating some of the blade parts for the shield.
Let me get really dark here.
Of course, it's going to look way better with all the jewel inside here,
the jewel inside
lighting
there,
up all that.
the various colors and
but
pulsating animations look real nice. So yeah, definitely much better material choice here. So this is actually material from XYZ Printing.
Yeah, so weird.
And it's really weird because they shipped us a little baggie with a little chip
controller on there,
that's supposed to work with their chipped printers.
Again, we're using the 6mm nozzle, but we'll talk about all that next week. Some of the design stuff that went into. All stuff that's inside here, the way that...
Let's wrap up the show. I really want to start filming this. Like, we got to get on this. I don't want to be like we did this week where I'm like, oh, it's 1 a.m. I'm still working on the guide.
And then while that was all printing, did I give you the file? You can show off the next project right after that. Keeping it going
Infusion?
with the Infusion. Yeah, it's just Infusion.
Well, it's down right now, so it's not cached on my machine.
Okay.
Which one do you want? Yeah,
it's not going to show up.
It's not going to show up.
So I'm working on the Thunder Helm. If you guys are familiar, if you guys are familiar with Zelda Breath of the Wild, it's a sweet helmet. It has like all these jewels on the inside.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
I've been wanting to do a LED helmet other than like a Daft Punk one for a while now. So this is really cool. I've already started modeling the front side of it. I'm starting the little, what's it called, like the little horns that go on next, which I was going to show off if Fusion wasn't down.
It's like a mix of a headdress plus like an Iron Maiden
so
type
cool.
thing. It's pretty cool.
So that will be the one right after that. Keeping it going with the Zelda theme.
Yeah, we've been pumping out a lot of the Guardian Robot was last week, and then previously the Guardian Robot, and then the Guardian Shield, or the Guardian Sword. So now we're going to have, oh man, Guardian.
Yeah.
With a little bit of...
We're fans of that.
Yeah.
There's just so many weapons.
There's so many cool light-up weapons.
It was definitely made for NeoPixels, all those. So
it's great.
We will show all that off next week.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that. That's what we're prototyping. Specifically what Pedro's prototyping. I can't show you what I'm prototyping. It's for a secret project.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Well, let's jump into Shop Talk real quick.
So this week's Time-Lapse Tuesday, in terms of Shop Talk, these really cool little clips that we use for attaching the DJI Spark drone batteries. You can just hook these up to your battery. But the main focus of this is not like the part. It's mostly like how we laid out the part.
Oh yeah.
Because this did require support material because of all of the little overhangs that happen right along the side here that clip the battery onto there. So I did try these 2 different orientations, and printing it straight up like that, this being on the bed, printing it straight up and having the support material on the inside of here worked a lot better than having it laid down flat like that and having the support material on that.
Okay, well, let's take a look at it.
So you can see a lot of the support material that was still left over that was not able to get out, which made it really hard when I put this onto my belt because it's nice and rugged, so it would like rip the belt off. Whereas this version, where you just print it straight up, is so smooth, like butter. It's
butter. I mean, people were asking really what material did you use. It really looks injection molded because you don't see any of the layer lines.
And the funny thing is,
what's
this
the
is
resolution?
Only 200 microns, so 0.2 millimeter layer height, and this came out super smooth.
Yeah.
Really impressed with the way that this was. So the settings that I had for support material was the horizontal offset for this is 0.8 millimeters.
You want to jump into?
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into CAD to look at the way that I laid it out.
The only visual, the best way is to actually see it in CAD with the facets. All right, so over here, right there. So this is Simplify 3D. I just dropped it in. This is sort of the default part orientation. This is incorrect. Is that right? This is not the way it should be oriented?
So that's the way that the guy printed it out, actually. So with the support material being right there on the bottom.
So let's go ahead and generate it. Any specific things? So when you're Simplify 3D, Pedro, you will use a 4 resolution pillar. That's how kind of the thickness of these pillars. The overhang handle, the max overhang handle kind of tells you, it tells the slicer, well, which angle should I look at? In this case, it's a 90-degree angle, but 45 is probably okay. Is that right? Sometimes I like to up it to 60 just in case.
That's usually what I do, 60. But because I want it to be in as many crevices as possible.
Correct. All right, so I'm going to hit generate, and this is going to do its best job to generate. All the dark orange stuff is the support pillars. So this is all little material that will be printed along with it. And as you can see, there's a lot of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to hit done and then actually post-process it so I can get a visual look at how it'll look like. So is this what it'll look like here?
Looks like there was a lot more when I did it, but...
Whoa, I have tops and bottoms turned off or something.
Okay. So in any case, it was a little bit difficult to remove, especially underneath where the underside of it is. Let me jump back in there so I can point it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, right along here, this part right there, yeah, where the arrow is hitting.
Yeah. So
it was the most difficult to remove, and there was a lot of leftover material that I just, I'm not able to get into because of the cutters, being a little bit too big to fit in there.
So was that the right orientation, or was it?
That was not the right orientation.
Okay.
So what I did instead for the second try is I laid it completely on this side right there.
So like
on that side, like
kind
that.
of vertically.
And then clear those support materials out and regenerate it, and it should be just on the inside.
So there's a handy little button here called Clear All Supports, and then just I like how the mouse gets bigger when you do that. It's kind of fun. And then you redo it. So a little bit taller supports, so you're probably looking at more print time, but
so
definitely a better part.
If you look at the inside, though, too, that is where the belt, it'll slide into the belt, where it's making contact with it.
This is a section, just to kind of get a look in there.
Yeah, look on the inside. And you can see why it turned out so smooth, because there's absolutely no support material where it'll actually snap into.
Yeah, and when you think about use case, right, this is going to sliding onto your belt. If you have those all those kind of ridges and stuff there, it's going to kind of mess up your cloth material, whatever you're attaching it to.
Oh, and one thing that
so let me get out of there and actually render it.
That would have been super handy to.
Ooh, is that that's not correct? What happened?
No, it's probably.
Oh, it's my section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing that would have been really good to talk about as well, you don't have the latest Simplify 3D that just came out.
I just hit no. It asked me if I want.
So there's a lot of really good handy options inside there, like single extrusion for a wall gap, so you're able to get extra parameters in between walls, so they're able to come out a lot more sturdy than they would if it was just a
Who are those guys? I know those guys. So this is called version 4, Simplified 3D version 4. Is it a free upgrade?
It should be a free upgrade, but you do have to pay to get it.
Okay.
Like in general, the
seamless
software.
Process transitions.
So they have a ton of really good additional features that they added, but the most that I've been using is the single extrusion for wall gaps. It should be there somewhere. Yeah, here it is. This is the most. This is the best example of that. So you're able to get extrusions where you haven't been able to get it before by overriding the extrusion width. Sweet. That you're able to get between those.
I always have a kind of a quarrel with that,
so
like playing with the width, extrusion width, and the nozzle diameter. So playing with those two until you get the toolpath that kind of resembles what you want.
So some people have asked, oh, why didn't you just redesign it so that your nozzle could fit in there? But it's like, well, maybe because I had to design it with that specific size in mind. Make it any bigger, it's not going to work. It's not going to fit with anything else. I'm going to have to redo everything. You know, sometimes you need to have it to fit into something else. Yeah. And you just can't go in there, you know, change your size. It's not going to work. So what I would do in the past is mess with the nozzle diameter, where I would just mess with it by going, you know, 0.32 or something like that, where whatever would get the tool path to make a single extrusion between those gaps. So this is definitely the way to do it now with their variable extrusion sizing.
Yeah.
And then what was the other thing? There's a couple other things.
I haven't used it. So Pedro, you got to use it.
But that is the most useful.
Sorry.
For me, anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. I can't wait to get my hands on it so I can start using it.
Yeah.
Maybe they have Ultimaker 3 support. I don't know, but that would be nice. So I could kind of bounce between Cura and the Simplify 3D, because the Ultimaker 3 right now is kind of like you have to use Cura in order to do it, and I'm kind of constrained to their paths.
I'm sure you could. I just haven't attempted, just because they're able to get their, especially right now when we first got it, there was nothing else I could actually get the G-code to work properly.
Oh, they have some amazing bridging stuff. Look at this bridging.
That is another thing, yeah, too.
Look at that bottom one, and then look at the top one. With some literally smart, clever tool paths, you can choose some crazy, mind-bending, defying gravity. How are you defying gravity so much?
Yeah, so they up the fan speed when it's printing over large bridges. It's able to detect that. Well, and you're able to use those settings too onto parameters as well. So you're able to use those same settings.
Wow.
For just being able to control the variable speed on your cooling fan.
Well, great. This came out today or earlier this week?
I don't remember. I think Monday or Tuesday.
A lot of great stuff. Definitely check it out. I'm going to put this in the chat link if you guys want to check out the new update to Simplify 3D. Yep. One of our favorite slicers, if not the favorite slicer. That was a great transition. So what we ended up with for this was pretty
another
much
thing I wanted to take a look at too is the horizontal offset for the support material. That is the thing that I played with the most, and I was able to get the cleanest offset for the part. Yeah, 0.7 for this. So I printed this on the
Delta Go.
Delta printer, Delta Go.
Yeah.
And the horizontal offset for this was 0.8 millimeters.
That's it, 0.8?
Yeah,
default's 0.7, so it's 0.8.
Yeah. Well, the default, like when you have a fresh new profile, is like 0.4.
What does this horizontal offset do?
So it's how many layers before it starts actually printing the support material on there. So what it does is make it so you are able to more easily remove the support material, so it doesn't fuse with the actual part.
Okay, so it makes it easier to remove the part.
More cleaner too.
Yeah. Is there a way to feature type? Yeah. So you can see here better with the color visualization. You can see the gray stuff is the support material, and the other various colors are just part of the design. So like the outer perimeters are this darker blue, the inner perimeters are this kind of turquoise, and then the green stuff is the solid infill. I think I have 0 infill turned on. Right? Probably looks about right. But this is a great visualizer way to see. This is probably one of the main reasons why we like Simplify 3D so much, because you can really get in there, take a look at your tool paths, and understand how the machine's going to output this thing.
Yeah, so Ultimaker, or the Cura for Ultimaker, does have this sort of visualizer, but it's not as detailed as this is.
No, this one's super dopes.
Did a really good job of that.
Oh, it's infill. I had like 0. What was your infill, by the way?
The infill for this was 20%, but I used the triangular.
Oh,
infill.
You love that triangle stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that stuff.
I think they're pretty good for this one.
Yeah. All right.
So that is this week's
Shop Talk.
Let
me know if you guys have any questions about some slicer stuff. I want to get more back into the basic stuff for new people who haven't don't fully understand all this stuff, because we're still learning it as well. There's a million settings for your slicer, and as you get a project, you kind of work it and try it out. Okay.
I'm just looking at the chat room. Why not standing up? Yep, we did that. I originally did it laying down just because of the person who designed and uploaded this file. That's how he printed it. So I was like, oh, okay, it must work that way. Tested it out and almost ruined my belt with all of the jackiness on the support material I wasn't able to get off.
Yep. So it's funny how the original designer printed it in one orientation, and then sometimes you can rework that and better optimize it for your machine.
Jim is saying that he needs a release battery holder for the Mavic. Need to release a battery holder for the Mavic. Oh, okay, yeah.
It's basically the same thing?
Did somebody do that? Yeah, I think somebody did. I'll have to look at it. Yeah, it's a good idea. Although the Mavic batteries last like a half hour, these only last like 10 minutes. So
that's right, yeah.
You need to be able to, especially if you're trying to get a shot, you know, that's the...
Can we talk about how fun the video was to shoot? Like, that was fun,
just getting the...
I know it was hot and whatever, but it's a nice time to like get away from all the printers and like go outside.
I always like that.
I haven't been outside in many, many months. I'm just kidding.
We're supposed to do a bike project this year.
Every summer, yeah. Never have
we have until... Oh, wait, no. August the sun was here. Never mind. Well, Lamar just sent an email.
Oh, my goodness. It's 3 p.m., Pedro. We got a boogie.
Oh, okay.
Boogie. Guys, if you have any questions in the chat.
Oh, real quick on Discord, if you want to check out, somebody posted under the 3D.
Yes, more Discord.
Rick and Morty, Rick's portal gun, if you want to check that out. Ask MP just posted this in there if you guys want to check that out. It is modular. It's featuring Adafruit Spark Fun parts. We have a Pro Micro that is running everything.
Which channel?
It is a 414 segment.
Whoa, check that out. Look at this.
Is this being displayed right now on the...
Yes, it is.
So definitely don't forget to check out the Discord chat. And please post up any of the projects you guys want us to share there. Has a nice beefy battery. He said that he is using this for easy transport. Designing it all nice and modular because he has a 120 millimeter build plate.
Yeah, this is beautiful. Sweet. Is that a... I'm supposing that's like USB charger right there?
I think so, yeah. Looks like it.
Sweet. Yeah, that looks awesome. Yeah.
I wanted to do a portal gun because we have the little mini projector.
Oh my goodness,
that works really well, yeah.
I believe it was Michael Curry.
Yes, that's right. Michael Curry posted about this. Somebody in his hackerspace actually.
Yeah, Michael Curry, he worked with MakerBot in the early days and then Formlabs, but as he was working with MakerBot, he did a lot of great design, a lot of open source design. So he's the one who did the Turtle Shell RC car. So it was like the Mario Turtle Shell. And he also did a like a variant of this project, the Marty's Portal Gun, with an embedded mini pocket projector. So it actually project the portal out there.
We have
this is really cool because you get...
you can definitely fit in there.
C132, yeah, that's the dimension.
Did you guys see the, when does this start? I think July 30th is when the new episodes start. They showed like a little sneak peek. It looks really good. To the new season of Rick and Morty.
I think so. I think I saw it.
Ryder is asking that he's heard that putting a cardboard box over your printer to use as a heat shield is a bad idea, isn't it? So as long as the board is on the bottom and it's like elevated and you can like get some sort of airflow onto the
actual motherboard?
The motherboard, yeah, it should be okay.
Yeah.
I've seen lots of people doing that, like putting like towels over it just to keep the heat in.
Yeah, just the build chamber, yeah. And then, there's usually some sort of ventilation underneath the printer where all the electronics are. But yeah, definitely good writer to be concerned about that, as it is something you want to think about.
Sweet. Scott,
great work.
Bruzina is asking about where we got the right angle HDMI adapters that we used in the mini PC project. We are supposed to be stocking those. Lamar did get some samples and I think she ordered them. It just takes a little while to get those in. I will look for those though, and I'll post it in the chat. You want to read any other questions while I look for that? HDMI connectors, here it is. A super long link on AliExpress.
Oh, for the, yeah, just pick up a bunch of them and wait.
And there are different angles too. You have 90 degree up, 90 degree down. You got a straight forward one, 90 degrees up angled, and they come in mini, female, male. I think we ordered like every single type of one just because they're so handy for a lot of the HDMI projects.
Especially embedded ones. All right, cool. Well, guys, if you have any more questions or anything, we'll be in the chat room. Are there any more Sigma? Oh, are the R17 Sigmas going to be in stock, I think?
I believe they are. We're trying to get the nozzle kit to be included with the printers, just because they're so handy. As you've seen with all of our projects, we always jump between different nozzle sizes. So we're trying to work out how to actually have those included with the printer.
Okay.
So and plus, they're they're in Barcelona, so it takes a while to ship stuff and get things confirmed. With being Adafruit, there's just so many moving pieces going on right now. If you guys take a peek over at the factory, it's pretty insane, all the things going.
So John, he's wondering about the glossy finish and if the part lifted off the bed or it needed to be pried off. No, so if you
just wait for it to cool down and it pops itself right off.
Yeah, it pops itself off. It has quite a bit of static charge, so be careful with it.
No.
As once you pull it, it goes and all these like little static electrons flying all over the place. It's not how they work, but that's what it sounds like.
Matthew was saying, yep, that is the battery charger on the portal gun. Really cool.
Nice. Yeah, so you guys
super clean build.
Don't have to take it apart to recharge your battery. That is always a crucial thing to have.
And he's saying that he keeps it modular, so he's able to cross the border with without the battery, without there being any problems with the LiPo battery.
Perfect. Great job.
Yeah, I always love designing things modular, just because you're able to disassemble them, and for like shipping to the office, it's easier to put it in a smaller box.
Hey, Matthew is the gentleman in the who's working on this project. Yeah, Ask MP. Great work.
Very cool. I like it.
Sweet. Yeah. If you release the files, we will share that on the show. And come on, show and tell and share it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. And
definitely.
Is that a great segue for the Tonight show?
Yeah. We'll be on Show and Tell tonight. If you guys want to show off any projects, it'll be at 7:30 p.m. tonight, every Wednesday. Yeah, Eastern time. And then right after that, we'll have Ask an Engineer, full hour with Phil and Lamar.
New products?
New products, taking a look at some of the behind the scenes.
The latest scoop in Arduino craziness?
Yes. There's always Arduino gossip now.
Yay.
So definitely check that out. Make sure to click on that little bell to get notified when new projects and videos are released.
I have a subscribe button back there. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We're a little bit catching up as
as soon as it's over, we need to clear everything out, and I need to still start filming.
Yeah, which is fun. I'm gonna definitely help out. So if you guys want to support your maker habits and our Adafruit, you can do so by picking something up, buy something every once in a while. You can use coupon code. We have one every single week, every Wednesday.
We have two every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday we have two. Our show and maybe John's show will have a coupon. We need to get Tony. We need to get Tony to make a coupon. Late night with Tony's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So check out Tony. He's been doing some great streams. And
his upcoming stream, I think, is
Aaron's coming out with some new stuff as well. And I think that's all I have. John Park is there.
John Park.
He's doing some live streaming, so very, very looking forward to more of live streams. As it's sort of a bit of a test trial right now, just kind of figuring out what makes sense.
Getting Wirecast to behave.
He just got an AC installed, so no more overheated overhead cam, I hope.
I need that into our. We need AC in our garage as well.
We do. Where do we put it?
I don't know.
I don't think you can. HOA would be very mad about it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you all for joining every week.
It's always a blast. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. And of course, the chat doesn't have to end here or ever, because we're now on Discord forever till the end of time.
Please post up your super cute kitty cat and I want to see more pictures there. I'm going to post pictures of Ajax on there.
Yeah, he's still doing it. What am I doing? All right, guys.
See you guys. Thanks for watching.
See you guys.